Let's just be forthcoming here. I feel like I've failed a whole lot.
You know, you screw up, you fail. Yes, you're gonna make major mistakes, and that's all right. But you'll learn from them. You'll get better at it, and through that forgiving process of yourself and others, you'll continue to grow. And that's what, you know, I feel life is. Life is a journey of self-discovery, of finding, you know, what you are inside and sharing that continuously. It's all based on consent. And once you realize that, the world is yours.
I think about all the time, I'm like, man, that was a dumbass decision to do all this. And yet here we are. And maybe the point of life is to just not take it all so seriously. I don't know.
A lot of sacrifices have been made by a lot of people for me to be here. I feel like I'm letting them down.
Trying to stay positive is the most challenging thing.
First experienced depression when I was 15, in particular because I grew up without having a father around. At that time, my medicine was like music and feeling my emotions, actually. I never really personally experienced using any medication for it. And so that was very important to go through that, and the rawness, being able to breathe through it and know that it's a passing phase, but you don't know the next moment and what that's gonna change or what's gonna happen after that. So it took a lot to understand myself and how to find outlets for it.
I have been dealing with depression for a long time. I used to take medication for it off and on for probably over 10 years. And now I smoke a shit ton of weed. Like a stupid amount. I don't really know if it helps though, because it also increases the anxiety. But I smoke a lot of weed, I exercise, I go to therapy, fucking listen to binaural beats, write affirmations, fucking do some tapping and shit. I do literally everything. And honestly, it doesn't really work. Like, it's managed, but it's always there. And some people seem like they get better, and I just don't know if that's true, honestly. I don't. I hope that it is, but mostly, you know, it just doesn't seem like it. We'll see. I'm gonna keep trying, obviously.
Your situation is generic. You are in a situation, I would say 85% of everybody around you is exactly in the same situation. Same percentile around my life, the people, and that is the lack of purpose. Life has deemed itself purposeless and without an aim.
Just gonna try to keep this raw and honest. I'm open to ridicule and critique. What you think of me is your problem. I like that concept. I'm really trying to stick with focusing on what I think of myself, and what I think of myself is not good right now, and here I am facing that situation, trying to fix it, or at least confront it somehow.
You're too sensitive and you overinterpret reactions of others.
I don't really want to answer because there's nothing wrong with you.
It's not wrong. I mean, why are you saying it's wrong? It's not wrong. It's your personality.
That said, it seems as though some of the women that you spend time with, you're not that into, and they're really into you in like a weird way that is just a little cringy.
Yeah, I actually feel like quite a failure.
You're here, you have this amazing setup, You know how to operate a camera, you know how to light a scene. Those are all successes. You're a good person. You have a lot of skills, a lot of talents. I don't think you're a failure at all.
I don't think there's anything particular wrong with one person or another. What's happening is sometimes people do not want to accept others' personalities. That's why there might be some internal conflict between people, because deep inside, their logic is orthogonal to the logic of another person.
I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people put so much attachment to like anything, and that's when we like suffer.
Wrong is a strong word. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with you. I just know you already. I have to say I know you, and I have to kind of be responsive and sincere to your fluctuations of the mood, which happens every 2 weeks, depending on the moon cycle. That's part of you, and it's not something you have to be ashamed of. Something you have to accept. The moment you accept that it's part of you, it becomes so much easier.
I think we're just here to have these really human experiences and learn these human lessons and feel fucking breezes on our faces and shit, and eat delicious food and have amazing sex and make beautiful art.
I believe you are on the right track. You just haven't found that balance where you would not hate yourself for doing this and that, or you would not hate yourself for being you. Once that coin flips in your mind, you realize, okay, I mean, life is so much simpler than I imagined, and I have to live in this maze and castle of my thoughts, and start hating myself, hating everything that surrounds me, and then it projects to other people.
It's an interesting dichotomy, because I do know that we have like an effect on others, whether or not we like it or not. If one can just inspire others to be their authentic selves to the best of their ability, I feel like we're doing great as spiritual beings in a human flesh suit.
But then you look at nature, and nature is savage. Circle of life is really fucked up. We think cats are really cute. They are predators to smaller creatures. They're really scary. So like life itself is really violent. I think we kind of karmically signed up for it.
His name is Viktor Frankl. He's an Austrian. He survived 4 concentration camps, and he could see right away from the people in the concentration camps who's gonna survive and who's not going to survive. And he said the people who had an aim or a purpose in life, they were surviving, and they did.
Part of the depression is like, you're not very kind to yourself. So you're like, there's a voice inside your head that says you deserve this. You don't deserve to be better. You don't deserve to exercise. You kind of want to stew in it. I've been dealing with depression, I would say, for a good part of 25 years. On and off, comes and goes.
Depression is something that I've unfortunately dealt with for a big part of my life, and it's something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Some days it's something that I don't have to think about. Other days, just have to be proud of yourself. You're just getting through the day.
Anything that comes with a challenge of creation or something that you're called to do, generally it's going to upset some people. It's just something I've been learning these days about myself more than ever, is that especially when you're really in your path, in your flow, you're going to bother some people. You're going to make them uncomfortable, because maybe they may not be at the same level of doing what they need to do in terms of following their passion. It can be triggering to others.
I deal with it by allowing myself to be whatever I am and taking it one day at a time, because I can't promise anything other than just one day.
I think it was like for a year, I was just kind of like, I was at this like baseline. It was like kind of like half joking that everything was 3 out of 10. Like, oh, this is a good beer. Oh man, it's 3 out of 10. That's pretty good. Like 3 out of 10 is like good. And then like after I snapped out of it, I was like, oh man, I was just like depressed this whole time. That's why everything was like 3 out of 10.
It's just the ego. Honestly, I feel it's a different aspect of our personality that is afraid of what may happen if we push through. And so it sort of wants its way and sort of feeds off of that level of control when you have control really over nothing.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking cacophony in there. There's a bunch of voices. They're all me. Some of them are nice, some of them are not. They're all just running wild. I can barely sleep these days.
I think a lot of the times it's my dad kind of talk to, and like it's mostly like his voice in my head.
It's not really in your head. It's in your head and in your heart.
That's pretty brutal. That's the voice that I don't like. That's the voice that does the most damage.
Yeah, you have to listen to something, the voice in your head, but you shouldn't forget about the voice in your heart.
That inner voice just maybe was just a construct, was just something that doesn't define me, something that was placed in my head. I think it's just insecurities.
I mean, definitely talk therapy has helped me over the years a lot, getting to the root cause of the problem. Maybe it's PTSD or, just working through that with a professional is extremely helpful.
I used to not talk about these things, but now, because it's a choice to talk about it on camera now, it actually feels really freeing to just be like, yeah, this happened, but it doesn't define me as a person, but it did happen to me.
I used to take time to cocoon, I guess, where, you just kind of, you have to be like kind to yourself. You have to like let yourself rest.
It's an ongoing thing, even within the last year, experiencing major depression again in a different form.
I put my running shoes and I go for a run. And I run as long as it needs to be in order to wait for the shift in your head. And sometimes running without headphones helps tremendously.
It comes in the form of exercise, endorphins, playing instruments, sewing.
I think about all the
Depression and mood, they're very related things. That's why medicine took the approach, let's just assign a couple pills so that it will chemically affect your brain, your mood, and then then depression would go away. I mean, what they do, they actually temporarily just put a bandage on a wound, but they don't heal the wound.
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all method, but I feel those choices and making small steps daily.
I think it's like a culmination of like small wins, small successes that give you confidence for like a bigger win.
I don't think we have a luxury to afford of not doing anything. I think every day has to be living with some meaning. 20 years ago, I probably would have answered differently.
There's stages of depression. For some people, it's very severe.
The thing I like to repeat to myself and blame myself for is just saying things like, I didn't take things seriously enough, which I really do think I haven't. Or something will come along, one distraction, another distraction. Просто хуйня какая-то и все. Надо не пиздеть и просто сказать как есть.
My father abandoning me when I was a child, being molested as a child. My mother abandoning me when I was a child, being drugged and raped when I was still a virgin, changed my perspective on a lot of things and people in general. I'm scared of people. Most people tend to use me in one way or another, see my kindness as weakness. I want to be able to trust the world again.